That was my practice. You ready, Rebecca?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the Architectural Review and Planning Board on Tuesday, November the 1st, 2022 at 8 a.m. Renee, would you do the roll call, please?
Mr. Roach.
Here.
Mrs. Smith. Here. Vice Chairman Doherty.
Here.
Chairman Murphy.
Here.
Let it also be noted that Town Manager Greg Dunham, Assistant Town Manager and Attorney Trey Mazzaro, myself are also present, and absent with notice is Mr. Canfield.
Thanks, Renee. Have there been any ex parte communication since we last met?
No.
Okay, thank you. Renee, could you administer the oaths, please, to anyone who wants to speak today?
Mr. Farmer, when he gets here. Okay. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thanks, Renee. As we all know, we're carrying on the applications for development approval and recommendation to the Commission from our meeting of October the 22nd, 2022. The first item on the agenda is an application for a level 3 architectural site plan review to allow the construction of a new 6,970 square foot colonial West Indies single family home with a 2-car garage and swimming pool. Please.
I have a couple of things that I'm going to see if I can.
Okay, if you could announce your name and
Yeah.
Thanks.
You want me to do that, Nick, while you're talking?
So these are the samples. I guess I'm just giving it, so one and there's lots of. Good morning, my name's Nick. I will be speaking on behalf of Shane Ames of Ames International Architecture. So pretty much to review, I took into consideration what you guys had requested last time, changed some elements, used some colors, and if you look at the samples I provided the color of the house, which is the pure white from Benjamin Moore. The blue is the dark slate for the awnings, and then the I guess wood textured one is the front door, garage door, and also the outlookers as well. I also proposed a couple options for the columns and how to treat them. Currently, they have a tile texture. I wasn't sure if you guys were on board with that, but I do have a couple options where it just has the color of the house, and another one where it uses one of the light grays that's proposed in the design manual. This one is just the original one. If you would go to one of the other options, Daisy, that'd be. This one is the light gray option, where it's just a slight hue off of gray.
Could you just go back to the other one, just to, please? Yeah.
Up here, a little dark.
Okay. Thank you.
This one, which is what?
Yeah, this is the all white option for the corner column features.
Yeah. Pure white.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The rendition.
And there's nothing on the back that would have any flat anything, right?
No, whatever we did in regarding these columns is also on the back, but it would match all the way around.
Did you change the color of the shutters?
It looks different here, but
It's
it
still
matches.
blue.
Yeah, it matches that one. Yeah.
Isn't that reddish?
It looks up here, but it's the wood sample.
Yeah, if you would look at the sample, maybe the pictures don't do it justice, but
Do you have that wood sample?
Yeah. No, it's not.
Oh, it's,
My opinion is, I think it should be all white. It keeps it more traditional.
Mhm.
The columns, and I think we'd have the best chance. Sorry, I always do that.
he whispers. I
Colours.
can't.
She's so
Right.
soft-spoken.
Somebody
That's
told me it sounds
clean.
like I was going to go pray every time I talk.
Cleaner.
So I prefer the all white. That's my
Mhm.
opinion.
Certainly cleaner.
And just more traditional. And then that would get, if we did the stone, I think it would get us back into that whole cladding of stone that.
Yeah.
It's a little sticky.
The garage door.
I'm talking about the, the key point what we're
columns.
talking.
Oh,
the
those
columns.
columns.
Yeah, the columns.
Everything should be white.
Ah.
That's what my opinion
I
is.
agree.
That's, to me, that's, as you say, we're going down the
Right.
zebra route.
Mhm.
Um,
Are you okay with this?
Yeah.
So, what was I?
The garage door seems a little, jumps out at you. I
It's-
assume.
It's not, yeah,
Yeah.
it looks like that, but
I
yeah,
know it's not gonna turn out like that, right? I mean,
no.
We're going on what's presented here.
It'll be exactly like the sample there.
well,
The
What
garage-
was the rationale for changing the garage door?
It's darker than-
The
it's darker
rationale was
than
that it wanted to have some consistency with the outlookers to match the door to match the garage door, just so that it's not so distant with that use of wood.
that's darker than.
it's a nicer. Yeah.
So, you've done what we requested,
Mhm.
which is to come back. You've given us options, which is exactly what we asked for. I think the consensus has been, well, we're in a position to make a motion. Who would like to make a motion?
And
Yeah, sorry.
y'all did ask about the windows being bronze.
Well, they're.
Yes,
sorry,
Did you
sorry, I
change
forgot
Yeah,
to mention,
sorry.
the white is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
frame.
Yes, and it just looks better. I know that's an emotive term, but it just looks cleaner.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I did like the way it turns out. The client was a little saddened that he couldn't get his bronze, but at the end of the day, he was happy with the white.
And just for my own information, the sample of wood is the sample of wood. It's not that color.
It is not that color. Don't look at that
I'll
for
be
now.
on record because I know where this is going. In that case, could I ask for a motion, please?
There's not one written.
No.
but, well,
You got yours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll read the old one from last week. You want me to-
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I've got mine. Hang on.
I got it. Good one.
Yeah, I found it.
You got it?
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a level 3 architectural site plan to permit the construction of a 6,970 square foot, one-story colonial West Indies style, single-family dwelling with a 2-car garage and a swimming pool with the following conditions. 1, any minor modifications to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approval, and any major modifications shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to commencement of landscaping.
Thank you. Can we have a second, please?
I'll second.
Mr. Roach,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Doherty.
Yes.
Chairman Murphy.
Yes. And with that,
But is it clear what we chose on the window frame and?
yeah,
Right, so it's going to be as submitted.
As
at the
submitted.
meeting.
As submitted.
So the record that's going to go before the town commission is going to be what was submitted today. So we want to make sure that you do bring those samples. I think you're presenting to the
Yeah,
commission.
I'll be presenting next week.
Yeah, so just make sure that you bring this and the record's clear what was submitted, and you need to make sure you get that to Renee so she
I was
has a
gonna-
copy of that.
I was gonna get the
Absolutely.
resubmit
And you
pages.
can
and-
Well,
coordinate that with her.
and it's this one that's on the top, the white copy.
Correct.
Right. Okay, can I hand those back to you?
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And we move on to the second item on the agenda. Is Mr. Brummer inbound, or Joe, do you want to do it? Okay. Fine. That's fine. That's fine. What time's? Oh, sorry, I was going to talk about the event on the 3rd for Rita. I know that's in the public meeting, but
From 4 to 6:30.
4 to 6:30. Okay.
Or no, it's 4:30 to 6.
That's-
4:30.
I think it's 4:30.
Thanks for that. Perfect timing. And don't rush. You- Yeah.
I was gonna show you a picture
No.
of the new, like, look at.
Fantastic. Don't rush.
Good morning.
Don't rush. Take your time. We know it's been a race. This is true. But what we do have to do is swear you in. Okay, I've got several versions. And when you're ready, I will, no, sorry, Renee, I'll be doing it.
Sorry, Tom, the date changed for our.
Commission.
So I'll need it.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do. Okay, and so we move on to the second item on the agenda. An application submitted by Richard Brummer, architect for Opus Homes, D&E, as agent for Joseph and Laura, 996 Pelican Lane, Gulfstream, Florida. And now, Mr. Brummer.
Good morning, everybody. We're
morning.
here again. We did work quite hard with Joe and Laura Pijotas. We went through, floor plans and all the changes and all the recommendations from the board. And actually, yesterday, on the last few comments that we talked, it's like the house is looking really good now. I'm not trying to be, sell the product, but floor plan and site plan, we haven't changed anything. We're complying with all the setbacks and lot coverage requirements, the FAR, we know about that 97 square feet of, exception that today we're going to vote and see if we get approved for that. If you move to the next slide, is basically the floor plans. As you can see on the floor plan, the only thing that we changed is the master bedroom. We reduced the doors from a 3-pane sliding glass door to a 2-pane sliding glass door. Second floor, if we go to the next slide, the same thing on the second floor, we reduced the amount of glass that we had towards the back of the house. And you can see on the elevation the changes that we did with that. We go to the next slide, is the roof plan. We changed the slope of the
gradient.
Hmm?
You changed the gradient.
We changed the slope of the roof of the first floor and the second floor to be all 5 and 12. So it's a matching roof plan, roof slopes overall in the house. If we go to the next slide, that basically shows us, the front elevation. One additional detail, we add another banding on the sills and on the heads of there's another slice with more zoom, details so you can see, but we added more details on the.
Bob, you've got a comment, sir?
Well, yeah, we're going real fast. Tell me what you changed.
I
haven't seen
And I want
this.
to go to, if we go
We
to
did.
slides, 2 more pages, you can see this one here. We can see on the bases, we added a second detail on the sills of the windows and on the top of the windows as well. We added another detail. So it's, for the lack of a better word, it's less modern and simple. We added a second detail to add a little bit more interest on all those sills and headers for the windows.
Yeah.
If we go back to the front and rear elevation, that's basically what we changed. We also changed the front door to be half glass and half solid, so it's a little bit more privacy, and less amount of glass in the house. And then on the rear was the biggest changes. We reduced this windows, there were double windows. We went with a single window to be able to put shutters on those windows. Same thing on the other side. This window also we reduced it a little bit on the width so we can put the shutters because it was getting too close to so the proportions of wall, shutter, and window was not working with the double windows. We also changed the heights of this sliders and this sliders, and we reduced this slider from a 3-pane to a 2-pane. On the last of the slides, we're going to see that we went on the amount of glass of the rear elevation from a 38% to a 32%. And now none of the glass pieces, basically, undivided glass is larger than 4 square feet. that is one of the recommended or the preferred ways of managing glass in
2 by 2,
in the
yeah.
town. Mhm. They're all less than 2 by 2, so it's less than 4 square feet. So that's basically what we did change on the rear elevation. If we go to the next slide, on the side elevations, we also added the details of the shutters to, to maintain that rhythm of shutters and windows with all the, mullions and subdivisions of course, subdivided glass around them. Now, if we go to the next slide, I think that is basically what we're reviewing, showing, the amount, the brackets, all the shutters and details, more of a close-up version. And I think we did have on the original one, of course, this one has those extra details that we added on the sills and the headers. And then we adjusted a little bit if we go to the next one, the color rent, this one is the one that shows the amount of glass. Basically how we calculated the amount of glass in the house, and it's 32% now. And then the next one, we're gonna have to zoom in because the sheet was a little too small. So basically here we have it extending from the street view of the house. Again, it's a rendering, it's a representation.
Richard, excuse me for a second. I just wanted to ask the commissioner, as Richard said, we'll make the change regarding the front door going, we were originally all glass, then we went to 3/4, then we'll go with the half if you want. I actually think it looks better with the 3/4 glass. So I just want you to consider that. If you agree with me, we'd rather do that. If not, we'll do the half glass.
Yeah, this one because we were rushing on, doing our changes, and then they have to do the renderings, and so they didn't caught up. So, but you have the two versions there. And here you can see, the amount of details and, the sidings and things. And this gives you more perspective from the street on the house with the landscape, so the house, basically the view of the house is only this with all this landscape and the breaking of the house. And then on the next one will be the.
And just a reminder as well, I mean, the street has like zero traffic, and directly across from this house is a row of very thick, you can't even see through, trees. In fact, the palms grow into halfway into the, not halfway, a third into the road, so it's like very thick. It's like even hard for me to get in my driveway because they grow over. So it's like nobody that's really gonna see the front of the house.
Got it here.
And there's the view on the back of the house, again, showing the reduction. And we decided to reduce this glass at least in 30%, mostly because this estate is towards the front, towards the back of the house, but it's closer to you.
That's the master. That's the primary.
Good. And then suggestion, just that, hey, so after you really want on bus.
Then this area here is further back, so it's more recessed, it's less seeable, if you want to call it that. And this one, we have the loggia with all the furniture and everything, so that piece of glass, we don't see it that much. And then, of course, the second floor, that's the one that you see more, so that's where we did the reduction of the glass on the second floor as well, plus the additional issue with the shutters and things like that. So those are basically the changes that we have done, trying to uniform the house, reducing, including the recommendations from the board.
With the increase in the gradient or the change in the gradient, what's your height now, your maximum height? I know you were within
the maximum building height? It didn't increase because I played with it. The second floor stayed the same. And the second floor, we already had it at 5 and 12. So it's only the first floor that, changed the roof. So there's this ridge that is going a little bit over the banding that we have, but because I reduced the amount of window, is not going into the window. So it was only the first floor that.
I know at the last meeting you said you've got space to go into. I just wondered if it had changed.
Oh, yeah. We actually, we are at 26, and I think if I remember correctly, the maximum is 30 feet. So we're 4 feet below the height restriction allowed by the town.
Right.
Yeah, we don't want to make it a big, massive house.
No. Thank you.
Can you go back to the picture? I can't see that far of the windows. You said the new detailing you put on.
Yeah, sure. Actually, if you want to zoom, if you want to go to the rendering and we go back to the rendering, if you want to zoom in this area.
That or the drawing.
There you go.
There you go. Now,
That's what shows that extra detail on the sills. And if we go in this window, you can see
Can you go right?
Scoot it over to the
Oh,
right?
sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
This way?
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
So we added it used to be just a band around, so it's a very simple detail. So we added the additional one.
Which is traditional and, yeah.
It adds an extra level
The
of,
header.
you know,
Yes.
classicality. I'm coming up with new words today. Must be the coffee I had this morning.
That's good.
And of course, we have, you know, the siding with the typical 3-inch fan at the end. There is a very classical way of doing the siding instead of just finishing, you know, siding against siding.
Right.
And
And the front door, Joe, you're suggesting you want to do it half?
we can do it, you know, 1/3.
Sort of by mistake, they kept the rendering the same way.
Yeah.
But then my wife and I, we actually think it looks better. And so, you know, but we know that we had to agree with you to go to the half door glass. But if you'd be okay with that, we prefer that. I think it looks better.
Can we see the picture? You have another drawing with it on half, I think.
Yes, if we go back to the front elevation, we can see it.
It's this, yes.
That is with basically half.
So we'll go to the house one if you can, where you can see the full front of the house. It's easy to, it doesn't fit in quite as well, just to like a layman.
There you go.
Being the proportion is nice because this is 3 and this becomes 2, with the 3 actually relates more to the windows
And
on the
it's kind of,
side.
there's gonna be like a big like bush tree there, you know, so you really aren't gonna see. And then there's like I said, there's all palms across the street, you know, on no traffic road.
Right.
And this volume here and this volume here are further out, so the only time you're gonna see it is when you're right dead center with the house, pretty much. When you're driving by, you don't see it because of the office coming out and the garage coming out.
Great. You had a point.
Yeah, well, this picture is up there. I don't remember which meeting it was, but one of the meetings in the past, we recommended on the railing to have the Chippendales, 2 of them, and then have the middle one. This is kind of the opposite.
We had it originally, we went through the process of having, you know, first it was all vertical pickets that basically we took it from, you know, Anglo-Caribbean.
We suggested 3 and.
Yeah, and then the 3 was too much and we left 1 in the center. This is the way we left it. If you want to go with 2,
Well, we would rather keep it the one we think it looks much more, you know, we like the look of it better, you know, so I guess it's just personal preference, but it was all, you know, rails before.
Yeah. I mean, it is, sorry, if you have 3, definitely not. 2.
On the railing.
Yeah, it's the railing. The detail, it's the detail.
Yeah, that's called it.
Yeah, Chippendale, I see that, yeah.
So they originally had all pickets, and we suggested 3 Chippendales, and I thought we had settled on 1 Chippendale on each side with the middle being a picket. It's,
That was correct.
yeah.
It was supposed to be 2 vertical, Chippendale, vertical, Chippendale. But he's saying he doesn't like that.
I don't recall that being, you know, a requirement, but, you know, we did look at it at the time, and
Yep.
I just thought it looked too busy, to be honest with you, you know, with all the multiple X's there. But, you know, I don't know how strongly the committee feels about that.
I'll go with busy.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, put it this way. I think if,
I mean, I think that's a personal preference,
Yeah.
really, more than anything else.
Yeah. it is a personal preference. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Greg, in terms of the 2, but to me, that would be busy.
And it's lined right up with the upper
Center.
window and the
Yeah,
doors.
just sort of a-
I just brought it up.
No,
because
thank
that
you.
was my recollection.
No, thanks, Greg.
That's how we
Yeah,
left it,
okay.
and I think she verified that.
I mean, was this something that was brought up at the commission?
Yes.
Yes.
And was the commission adamant about it?
It was a suggestion.
Was
Suggestion.
at the time that, I think it was the first meeting that we had, that when the word modern came into the play, and they said that could be an option to basically demodernize the
Yeah.
house, to
It
add
was on the list of things that the.
recommendations
Lots
that
to
they.
do.
Yes.
There were a lot of I think he's right.
Yeah.
It was a meeting a long time.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
One of
And
the-
they were
And
throwing different
And
ideas.
it's evident from, you know, I don't know if this has traveled, but it's evident from the last meeting exactly what you've done, which is one of our key things, which was to demodernize it and get to the Anglo-Caribbean style. That's one of our,
Mhm.
it's one of our 2 issues we have to address here. From my point of view, I can see that to me, it's a lot better.
Thank you.
Better.
I'm agreeing.
I have a question concerning the railing on the back, the all glass. What did, because I don't remember what we discussed, that it was very modern, the glass on the back, and that we were thinking about going Chippendale, and I don't know how the commission felt about that, because that might seem very modern to them also.
Gregory.
Yeah, so is the second floor balcony area that's glass?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that is very modern. We did recently have a house that was approved in Place au Soleil. I think it kind of slipped through. That is not in keeping with architectural style that we're looking at. And I think that the commission would prefer to have, it be more traditional.
As we got
And
here.
also, we only had 3 commissioners at that meeting, whether that makes any difference or not. But what they did, it used to be, the other house that Mr. Nazaro was talking about, originally it was just all glass. There was it wasn't broken by any columns. And so what the commission did on that house, there were columns that were on the bottom floor going up to the deck. They just carried those columns up to break up the all glass look. Is how they settled that on this other house.
If I could just comment on that, because I happen to be here for that August 12th, meeting with, the kind of the final commissioner board. And, that house was a massive, 7,000 or 8,000 square foot house. There were not just, we broke this up into 4-foot panels. So you can see, the white rails in between the 4-foot panels. That had massive 16-foot panels across the entire expanse of the house, and only 5 pillars, 1 on each corner, and, one, then 3 other ones that came up from the bottom. And all they were, like, in effect, these things were bigger on the corners, of that, but that was like much more expansive than this.
All we're saying, and Mr. Nazaro is correct. There was a lot of discussion about that. I think the commission took a half an hour studying that. And again, there were only 3 of them there. I'm not sure that
I
makes a
think that
difference.
reads modern.
Yeah.
Really, it doesn't matter if it's 16 feet
If I
long.
may interject it, one of the architectural reasons why we did it like that is if you take in consideration this volume is further out, this is out, so the amount of view that you have again for that rating is only from the back. Second is, is a small area of this small cantilever balcony. So when we added the railing, in fact, it looked more of a traditional angle corrigan, but it added a lot of weight to it. So those were one of the, architectural key elements that why we try to, we proposed the glass railing.
Trey, did you seem that you wanted to say something?
No, I was just going to say that I had brought that up as a point that the commission did not like the glass.
Okay.
And then if we could reach some sort of compromise where that is eliminated, or a different design is chosen, I think that would be much more favorable for the project.
Right. Thanks for that.
Just not by way of comparison, because every application stands on its own, but
Yeah.
just since this was an issue that came up recently.
Yeah, that's why I pointed out the basically the intention of this glass railing is to light it up, and the fact that we had this roof and this roof sort of covering it, and it's not a big balcony. We thought
It's only 16 feet, and we've separated it every 4 feet. We didn't go with 16-foot expanses of glass.
In response, just kind of speaking on behalf of the staff, it's really about the architectural style. It's not about compromising and making it sort of less modern, but
that's where my head is. You've made so much effort to get aligned with the code for Anglo-Caribbean. If this was a first pass, we potentially go, okay, because we did last time. But we've got the feedback from the commission. We're trying to get this where when I say it's not an issue, it's obvious that you've aligned with the style. What are your options with that glass, replacing it, what would be your options? Railing, Chippendales, railing?
Yeah, that would be the other option to basically, divide it in, Chippendale in the center, or probably 2 Chippendales and vertical Chippendale, vertical Chippendale, and verticals on the side.
In my opinion, the commission might make that suggestion.
Mm-hmm. But if we're talking about it now, why not preempt it? Because you want.
I would at least hold some hope that they would be okay with it. Excuse me?
That you could convince the commission.
Well, not that I could convince them, in their own judgment, they would think, hey, if that was my house, it looks better, And again, I don't know if you take this into account, maybe you don't, but there is literally nobody in Gulfstream can see the back of the house. And behind this, there's 50, there's a canal, and there's 50 to 100 condos with a whole new building going up. It's not like.
Yeah, and on record, I did take your invitation. I walked around the property.
Oh, good. I'm glad you did.
And took photos, and yeah, I know the view. I know the view out.
Trey, am I wrong when I say that we're not supposed to take that into consideration? It has nothing to do if anybody can see it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm for the first application last week with the stone on the minor accessory structure. I kind of indicated that, well, no one can see it from the road. And that is completely irrelevant in general. The reason that I was saying that is because we were talking about the impact approving something has on future applications. And as Mr. Brummer and Mr. Pahota did, and as we did as well, commonly we can, and what we're going to do more in the future is to take pictures of our front elevation, show you what the architectural style is, and which is what they did as well. I mean, they had a picture of 530 old school, as an example. That has an impact on what we've approved before. And so if we've approved that, that's consistent, right? The fact that it's in the rear, it's such a small item. I just wanted to just say, no one's going to see it. So no one's going to put it on the front and center of, look at what you've approved. Here I was standing in the road and I took a picture, and this is completely in keeping with this architectural style. So it is completely irrelevant whether you can see it or not, whether it's in Gulfstream or Delray or in Boynton or wherever. It really is just, each application stands on its own. We have 4 sides, as Rebecca likes to say, there's 4 sides to a building. They all need to meet the code. So I'm glad to have the opportunity to sort of get on my soapbox and walk back some of the comments that I made last meeting, because it is important that you look at everything as a whole, whether or not you can see it or not, because we're talking about the entire project and whether the architecture is consistent. I would caution you, however, because we have approved the glass railings. I don't think the ARPB noticed it. I don't think the staff noticed it. I think the first time this application, because there was a lot of back and forth, the architect was extremely difficult to work with. I can say that with honesty. And his first presentation before, I want to say the ARPB, he just exceeded the maximum FAR by 3, more than the special exception would have allowed. And he was like, yeah, but that's okay, right? And so it was it's a very frustrating situation for him to just kind of, say that in a meeting and, provide the sworn testimony and say, well, yeah, but, or maybe it was the percentage of glass. Yeah, the percentage of glass is 55%. I'm only allowed 40 or 45 and I'm only allowed 40, but that's fine, right? It's not a big deal. It's like, no, the code exists and, there are specific things that we deal with. So I think that in the shuffle of dealing with an extremely difficult architect, the owner is a delight. He's a great asset to Gulfstream. But this architect we did have a lot of problems with. And I think that because of that, because we really needed to hold his hand and fight with him to get a conforming house, we did not see the glass railing, which is a very contemporary item. So I just caution you that if we're going to start allowing glass railings, it is attractive for when you walk out of your second floor and you can look straight through glass. That's what everyone says. Well, it's an unobstructed view. absolutely that's correct, but it's also very contemporary. I don't think that it's consistent with the architectural styles that we allow in Gulfstream.
Thank you, Trey. Okay.
That was, sorry,
Sorry, Mr.
that was beautiful presentation.
The other thing I'll add to that is there was an argument as to the percentage of glass in the back with this architect. Oh, well, it's only 5% more, and in the back, and nobody's going to see it. And that was his.
Yeah.
And then so he had to
Yeah.
lower that.
I mean, one of the clarifications, one of the things at the last meeting about the coral wall was it was a minor structure. That was the other thing we discussed
Right.
as well, which mitigated it to a certain extent.
Right, so I mean, it was a very minor detail, a column on a minor accessory structure in the back with an older house that has been in Gulfstream for, 50 years or so, older, very traditional architectural style. I think the minor accessory structure was very much designed to fit in with that architectural style, but there was that question about that banding.
Yeah, it's just absolutely take the point about, not precedence, but the fact that someone goes around with pictures and says, well, because one of the things we're coming on to is dissimilarity. So, people are going to take pictures and things like that. Okay. So I think from, my point of view, you've addressed all the points, you've gone that route. This balcony, from the history, I think if you go to the commission with this, I think it's going to be a stumbling stone. I think it's going to be a stumbling stone.
They're not going to go for it.
They're not going to go for it.
So just recalling the, August 12th, final meeting for the other house. I mean, I do recall the architect put up a picture of the house with the, full glass, deck rail across the 8,000 square foot house, and one with rails.
Yeah.
And, asked for which one do you think looked better? And the commission all unanimously said, oh yeah, that one looks better with the glass.
Is that on record? And I'm not doubting you, Joe, here.
It is my personal opinion that the option that he provided was as ugly as possible to allow.
I agree with that
I'm
too.
serious.
I agree with that too. It looked like the rails were exaggerated.
To force the commission into choosing the more attractive option, which was the modern. That is just my opinion. As I sit here, that was what I witnessed, and
I'd agree with that. He chose an ugly.
The railing that's on the front of this house is very attractive.
Good. And it's thin.
And
It is thin.
And I think, in my humble opinion, that's a suggestion when we have 5 commissioners there.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them that probably would have not argued for the glass on the last house will be there. And I think that's probably what their recommendation would be, is to use the same railing that's on the front of the house.
And again, Mr. Pahota, you keep comparing that house, and this house stands on its own. It doesn't matter what they did with the other house.
Yes, so that's true. And, sort of there's unique circumstances around this house, where, it really can't be seen from Gulfstream, and there's condos across the water. So I was asking that to be considered. And then also here, we've taken the back glass down from, the requirement's 40%, it was 38. We took it down to 32, and it's probably still within the 40%, even if you counted the rail as part of that. I guess we were hoping that since we only put in 4-foot sections of glass, that was maybe something you guys could support. And then in the end, if the commission on November 11th, said they didn't like it, we'd go with, just the rails. But we prefer this. And so we're hoping we could try that.
Okay. I think, obviously, you made it very clear it's your preference. We've got to come back to the Anglo, at the end of the day, the Anglo-Caribbean style.
Yeah.
That's what we have to. I absolutely take your point. And I'm not being
It doesn't look Anglo-Caribbean.
It doesn't at that point. And can we go back to the railings, the picture of the front elevation, please, where we've got not the railings, the balcony, sorry, where we've got Chippendale and
And it's hard to see in that with the lighting.
Yeah,
I think the black and white.
The black and white's easier, yeah.
Most of it is the plan.
There we go. It's not going to, I mean, it's a beautiful home. And not being platitudes, it's a beautiful home.
Thank you.
And I don't think going absolutely closer, aligned to the style, will detract from it. I know the view, but that if it's put there, and as you say, not Chippendales everywhere, perhaps straight, I think that would, well, from my point of view, that would really, really make sure that you're as aligned as possible to the code.
You see this railing with Chippendales all throughout.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, you know, decide whether Chippendales, and it's not our place to tell you what to design, but we understand about the view. We understand that's what the glass is there for, to see through it. Perhaps you don't have the Chippendale directly there. That's, you know, a design point, but it is a major consideration because it's modern at the moment. To me, it's the one feature that stands out as modern. And that on the notes was very clear what came back from the commission. It's the home is still too minimalist and modern. And we don't want you to basically have to go through a process.
You don't want us back here?
You can have too much of a good thing. Great.
Looking at that picture, that change in the pitch of the roof has helped.
Yeah, it's tremendously. I agree. And the windows and everything you've done with the glass at the back, it's a bit like you're running a marathon and that last mile you need to complete.
I think the headers and the sills were great. We didn't even, you came up with that. I thought that was fantastic.
Adding all those shutters on the side.
Yeah,
I mean, we probably have more shutters on this house than we would like to have.
Right. No.
Like way more. Do we need to have all the shutters on the sides too? You think so?
Yeah.
It's 4 sides.
Yeah, 4 sides. To me, the only issue we're addressing now is the balcony at the back. And my guidance would be that needs to be aligned with the front.
All right, well, we'll take that. I guess it's in our judgment whether we want to just put in rails or Chippendale in the middle or something.
Yep. Are we in agreement?
So what are we?
It has to be.
Oh, it has to be. No,
it has to be. That's what we're saying.
Mr. Conrad, I think is.
But he has the option of.
Right, so we do have an application that includes this, the glass rear. You can make a motion to approve everything with the condition that, so what you can do is you can grant a modification of the application or recommend in this case in such form as you deem proper and consistent with the standards for site plan review. So you would just have a motion and a condition would be it's approved, condition on the removal of the rear glass, you know, and replaced with a Chippendale or something consistent with the front elevation. If that's so you can make a recommendation that's positive. If they want to keep the glass, and they can go to the commission and say, well, they recommended approval with this change, but we don't think that's consistent. But they'll know what they're getting into, and that's the board is comfortable with the application, deems it appropriate, deems the special exception criteria to have been met for the extra 92 or so square feet. But the one hang up is the rear, and you're recommending approval if that's changed. So that's the way that I would address it if that's something that you are comfortable with the rest of the house as a whole.
Okay. So that was the first one of our focuses, which is the getting to this type, you know, the Anglo-Caribbean. The next one, the commission came back with was dissimilarity. That was the other point of rejection. I've walked around, as I said, I thought I was going to get arrested, but I did walk around. I was in my cycling shorts. And I don't feel with that design and the alterations that it impacts the area adversely. I think it complements it. I agree. That's I know it was one of the major things we have to address, and this is just obviously my opinion, but I think that design definitely fits in with Driftwood Land. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's my feeling there. Okay.
Can I go back to one thing? I just have a question. Are you open to changing the rear balcony? Because if you're
yes, I mean, if you guys, you know, feel super strongly that we need to do that, we'll do it. But you know, we do have a strong preference for that. We like it quite a bit for all the reasons, you know, that you heard before. But if if you're telling me that,
I need you to go to
you
the
think this is gonna
microphone.
sail through.
Mr.
Sorry, Joe.
Mr. Pahog.
Joe, you need to.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I have to have it for the record and I can't hear
Yeah,
you.
Hey, I'm sorry, I was having a little
It's
trouble
okay.
hearing. So, yeah, so we will make the change if that's what you're telling us we should do. You know,
Yeah.
Telling you, you need to make that change.
Yeah.
Okay.
It will be the motion that,
okay,
what we talked about, it will be changed because the commissioners also said they want finalized packages from us. They don't want conditions of change this. They want to see.
Because our
what-
other option would be if you said no, that we would just have to vote no.
Yeah,
all of
right,
us.
yeah.
We don't want to do that.
And we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
so there, you know, I wasn't going to go this anyway, but I thought from what Trey was saying, you know, that there was an option to conditionally, you know, approve it, and then at the board, they would decide whether they can go with the glass or not. And if they said no, then we'd make it, you know, the traditional.
But it's likely to be thrown back to us if they say no.
Which is a whole
Which is
cycle.
a whole cycle.
I know, look, we want to avoid that
Yeah,
too.
and we do as well.
But if you feel strongly that it's
Yes.
not going to happen despite the, you know, the other homes,
Yep.
then, you
Yes,
know,
that's-
we'll go with it and just appreciate your help in talking to the members that are going to be here, you know, November 11th for.
They called the special meeting today just so you could get to this.
Yes, and I
We're
appreciate
try-
that.
No, we're trying to get you there. and
Yeah.
We're trying to get through, but we want to make sure that what the commission see
Yeah,
is the finished product.
okay,
Not with conditions in and.
okay. Yeah, so we'll do that.
Okay, thank you. Who's going to go for this one?
I'm sorry, we
Oh, sorry,
didn't
we
have
didn't.
manager
Yeah, sorry.
reports
Yeah.
because we didn't see
Yeah,
it. So we
sorry.
had no way to make a report for you to
Yeah.
read motion. So I changed that right there.
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
yeah, sorry, Greg. I was just reading it because it's a recommendation.
So before we go to the vote, I'm just trying to make sure they've covered everything that we
Mhm.
brought up in the past. I think in one of our meetings, we did talk about the lamps. Are those the original ones?
Those were the original ones, yeah.
And I think we did discuss that.
Yeah.
I remember
These
seeing some
these are
thoughts on that.
stainless steel, they're all around the house on all sides. I don't have any suggestions, but they're stainless steel and that the conversation did include the lamps, right, Renee?
I don't recall, sir.
I do,
It's more of a brushed aluminum than stainless steel. They're not shiny, so, and the other option would be to go with something bronze.
Well,
Bronze is not gonna look
and-
good with the color.
and the
So
dis-
I have to
Bronze
go
is
with a
not
lighter color.
We're running for bronze.
Yeah, bronze. There was just a.
wait, can I do
The
coral?
ripple
Can I do
started
coral?
Here and went all the way through there. Bronze
My
is,
hair stood up.
I don't know which one of us went no.
Including a change to the exterior light fixtures. So they weren't changed. Correct.
I mean, I don't think it's about the color. I think it's about the design. Right.
Style. It was more style than, I mean,
I mean,
I
are,
think that was more craftsman-y. I wasn't here for that.
I wasn't either.
this all falls back into the Anglo-Caribbean look, you know, and which,
Is there a guidance on lighting, Trey, for the Anglo-Caribbean? I would think we've done it.
I mean, we don't have anything that's, you know, with Anglo-Caribbean, we don't have anything specific as to lighting fixtures.
It really is the actual.
It's just about whether or not you think it meets the architectural style. I mean, are you married to the light fixtures?
Oh, well, I mean, let me speak to that. We kind of like this one. I don't even know what the alternatives are, you know, but we thought that looked nice. It's, you know, it's more traditional looking than what's there today, to be honest with you. I mean, you were just at the house, Malcolm,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But, you know, so given the other compromises we made, can we just stick with this one?
One, it isn't a trading issue, you know, as in backwards and forwards, but it comes back to what the board thinks. I'm going to say it. I don't mind it because I can't see. When I say mind it, that's sorry. I don't find it unattractive. That's what I've got to say. Would I choose it? I don't know. But do I think that it would go on the Anglo-Caribbean we've come with? Yeah, with the commission. The commission came back and made a point about the lights.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually in your.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, from what I recall that comment being made, but I didn't recall like that being, a big objection or anything.
It was
Yeah.
just pointed out.
It was pointed out. I don't think it was like a
I
required.
think it was probably, I wasn't at the meeting, it pointed out when there were a whole list of.
Yes,
Within the
exactly right.
context of the whole.
Everything,
Exactly
yeah,
right.
listed.
So, if they want to present that lamp,
Yeah. I'm
I
fine
think
with
that that's fine
Yeah.
to present that lamp. If the commission says, well, we think that that is an issue because of the style, then, they can tell you to go ahead and
Yeah.
change it.
Yeah.
And I don't think
Right.
that would require it coming back to us, would it?
Just for lamps?
The only thing I recall
Mhm.
is that when you suggested a brow, he asked about goosenecks. And y'all were all like, no
Yeah.
gooseneck.
Well,
That's
I
the
don't want,
only
we're
thing I
not going to have
recall.
that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I recall about the light.
Well,
Yeah.
Curtis, I'm with you in terms of, well, that's all. That lamp is not horrible to me. It's there. And we don't have any guidance of what it should be. So it is personal taste of the applicant.
Yeah, it's a personal taste,
And
but within the context, you have made a lot of changes,
Yeah,
to accommodate the commission.
And
If-
quite frankly, if they went with this lamp, and I wouldn't be surprised that there wouldn't be, that there wasn't anything said about
Yeah.
the commission.
Yeah.
I mean,
It might well not
this thing's
be,
been
but
going on for 6 months.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's the fact, and I think Bob's right. There was such a list of things that had
Right.
to be addressed, and it's a case of, right, everything. You have addressed so many things, and it's not a trading issue, as in we've got to change this,
Yeah.
we've got to change that. But to me, because there isn't anything that says you have to have this style for Anglo-Caribbean, this is your personal choice. This is what you're going with. And I think I'm with you, Curtis. The commission can decide if they don't like it. But I think because I can't speak for the commission, but I really do feel because you've addressed so many things, they will take that lamp now in the context of that design. They were taking it before in the context of a modernistic and minimalistic building. I think that's the background to it. Right. Have we addressed the two issues that we needed to? One, have we moved? Yeah.
The front door is still like an open item, and the gentleman, I think, was seeking to do 3/4 glass instead of half, and considering everything.
I think it's more because of the proportion of.
Yeah, the
the-
proportion.
the
The
3, 3, 3, and 2 and 3.
I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
I think-
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think your proportions.
Beautiful home.
Thank you.
I'd like to see it built, so.
Thank you.
You're staying with 3/4 glass.
Yes.
And once again, there's a lot of doors like that in Gulf Stream.
Great, thank you, Greg.
That you can see from the street.
Yeah. Thank you, Trey.
You had to throw. that
Everyone
in.
has to get in. Okay,
Trey, you're an expert.
So- who is going to go with the motion? Thanks, George.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of a demolition permit to demolish existing structure.
Second, please.
Second.
Mr. Roach,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes,
Vice Chairman Doherty,
Yes.
Chairman Murphy.
Yes.
I'd like to make another motion to recommend approval of a land clearing permit to clear existing vegetation from the building site.
Can I have a
Second.
second?
Mr. Roach,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes,
Vice Chairman Doherty,
Yes.
Chairman Murphy.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of a special exception to allow 96 square feet of covered unenclosed floor area that exceeds the maximum permitted floor area ratio.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Roach,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes,
Vice Chairman Doherty.
Yes.
Chairman Murphy.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to recommend approval of a level 3 architectural site plan review for construction of a 3,698 square foot, 2-story Anglo-Caribbean style, single-family dwelling with a 2-car garage, 4 bedrooms, bonus room, covered loggia, swimming pool, and Chippendale rail rear balcony.
Second, please.
And you need to add the conditions in italics.
Right, the whole time.
Yes, yes.
With the conditions of the application is recommended for approval with the following conditions, sorry. 1, prior to applying for any permits related to these approvals, the applicant will record a unity of title for the parcels that are part of the town's annexation ordinance 22/8. 2, any minor modifications to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approval, and any major modifications shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to commencement of landscaping. 3, prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy or certificate of completion, the owner of the property shall prepare and record a deed restriction, which at a minimum shall provide that all roof projection areas required to remain unenclosed as per approval of this special exception shall remain so for as long as the structure is in existence or exceeds the maximum permissible FAR.
Thank you. Could we have a second, please?
I'll second.
Mr. Roach,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Doherty.
Yes.
Chairman Murphy.
Yes. And with that, we have passed through, carried out our duty.
See each other in 6 months?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I want to say, they mentioned that the next commission meeting on November 11th, it's not on the 11th,
Oh.
it's on the 10th.
It's on
Thursday,
the
the 10th.
Oh, is it
Thanks,
at the same time, 9 o'clock or?
We're
The
closed.
same time, 9 o'clock. We're closed on Veterans Day, so
Oh,
we had to move it back a day.
Okay.
Thanks, Greg.
I will be here if you want to stop by though, so.
That's fine. I know it's not on the agenda. Are there any staff?
The commission meeting's on the 10th,
The
right?
10th.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are there any staff?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The only thing that I wanted to mention, which I was able to do, was the comment that I made at the last meeting about being able to see it from the street or not. That was really, again, completely irrelevant to all of our projects. But when you're looking at, we always say each application stands on its own. And unfortunately, the 4 of you here have been to more ARPB meetings than I have. So maybe I'm preaching to the choir, but as you know, they all stand on their own. But when you're able to drive by and you see repeatedly house after house after house, it has an architectural feature that were not preferred and that were disfavored or were recommending be changed, it's difficult for the applicant to understand why they're maybe being picked on or treated differently. So we need to just, try to be consistent with our application while realizing that, every application does stand on its own. So I just want to thank all of you for, being here, making your time, taking some time out of your schedule to make sure that these houses continue to move forward with a recommendation of approval that you were comfortable with. So thank you.
Thanks, Trey. And just on that one, thanks everyone for this special meeting. Meeting adjourned.
Is there anything for the next meeting yet? There was no last time.
I don't know.